Holiness happens to be a paramount Bible theme, particularly in the New Testament, this idea of living a holy life. You ever heard of it? You gotta live holy. Be holy, for I am holy, God says. Much has been made of holiness in the church over the centuries. Much has been made of what holiness is and how we're supposed to do it, and the life of a Jesus follower is to be lived holy. But I'm afraid that there's an aspect of holiness, a very considerable aspect of holiness, we have completely missed and left out. And the writer of Hebrews uncovers it for us right here. He says, I want you to strive for peace with everyone and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord. Do you see what he just did there? He said, now let's define holiness before I unpack that. Holiness is consistency. When it says that God is holy, it means he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is consistently himself. God never says, hey, I had a bad day yesterday. That is not me. I am so sorry. Right? God is consistently who he is. That's what makes him awesome. His holiness makes him dependable. His holiness makes him faithful. His holiness means you can count on him. His holiness means he's not flighty. His holiness means he's not flaky. He is consistent. Now, if you are looking for a spouse, might I recommend a holy one, a consistent one. Right? You want to marry somebody who's consistent. To be holy is to be consistent with who God is. So if I live holy, that means I live in step with God. That means I'm consistently walking with God. Much has been made about holiness. You know, the movies you watch or don't watch. The words you use and don't use, right? And I'm not saying any of that's necessarily wrong. I think that is a very, how should I say, basic aspect of holiness. We're all worried about, I don't want to drink, chew, spit, and go with the girls who do. But holiness, some of you never heard that before, Go to the South. But holiness is actually, more simply, it's putting all of those things aside, which are fine in matters of conscience. Holiness is to be in step with God. Now notice what the writer does. He says, I want you to work at being in step with each other, which is holiness. So the writer, you study this out, what he's telling us here in this one singular verse, he's saying, you say you're holy. So you say you're in step with God, but you can't stay in step with people in your own church. Now this is quite a challenge to these ancient Jewish believers. For us, it's not, because we got this worked out. But for them, it must have been very difficult. So people want to run around town talking about, I'm a holy, I walk with God. Well, the Bible makes it abundantly clear that if, in fact, we walk with God, we will be good at walking with each other.